everybody, to the next episode of Chiefs Focus First and 10. You're here on a beautiful Thursday night. Man, you're here with Caleb, you're here with JP, and we got Keaton on board. What's up, bro?
What's up, man?
Nothing much, man.
Guys doing
How's everybody
good?
doing? Yeah,
Pretty good.
Good. Bro, I don't know what the weather's like in Kansas City, but it's going to be 91 freaking degrees here Saturday.
It's cold here right now.
It's freezing.
It's cold.
It was 78 today, and it's just going to continue to climb. 87, I think it's 85 or 87 tomorrow, and then 91 on Saturday. And then I think it's Sunday or Monday, it's going to be 60. So, we're going through that weird stretch. But then once we get into that level of 90s, we're screwed. I mean, it's okay. But then when you get around, I'd say mid to end of April, it'll be 100, and it'll stay that way through, Caleb. I mean, it's that for us until the end of usually September, the beginning of October. This year, it went all the way into the middle of October. It was 105.
I don't know how you deal with that heat, man. I do not know how you deal with the heat, but I'd rather deal with that than the cold. I'd rather have that than the cold, if we're being honest.
Yeah.
So, I think Tyreek probably agrees.
Yeah.
He probably does agree.
Yeah. Well, true. He's going to have to deal with the bugs. We don't have bugs out here like that. They got cockroaches in Florida that'll take a sandwich right out of your hand. But here, man, they don't do that shit. I mean, they do have them, and they're flying ones. It's weird. They're big. They're not like those ones down. Those ones down there, they're 4 inches long. I mean, they're huge, man. They're no joke. So, and I got a friend, he's been pushing me. He's been in the media for years to move to Sarasota because it's not like it is in Miami and all the other places in Florida. He says it's just like Kansas City weather, except for they don't get snow and they never get hurricanes. So, because they're on the Gulf side. So I don't know. Mm-hmm. I'm going to go down and visit one day just to see if everything he's telling me is sure, if he's just pushing me to come down there.
It'll probably be good that nice week. And then if you actually move down there,
we'll be
bad. That's normally how it works. It's so nice and dandy. The best week they've had in years. And next thing you know, it's terrible.
Guarantee it. I'll fly down there or something. And then that weekend we'll have a hurricane and it'll go, well, this is the first one we've had in 50 years. Oh yeah, whatever, man. Fuck you. I know you're lying. But hey man, but anyway, let's get into this Chiefs stuff, man. I mean, I know everybody's still reeling from the Tyreek news, and Caleb, Keaton, it's crazy because when I was told 3 weeks ago or so that the Chiefs were considering trading one of their key starters, never did it cross my mind it was him. And in fact, with all the connections that we have, everybody said that this deal as of Thursday night was pretty much wrapped up and done. And we actually even said it on the show that, it looks like it's either going to be announced by Friday or Monday, the extension. And I think it was more smoke than it was anything else. But when you get to Drew Rosenhaus, look, the guy gets what he wants and he plays the NFL game very well. That's why he's who he is. I mean, when you can control 50% of the NFL as an agent, you're going to pretty much get what you want. And you can manipulate different players to do different things to change the market. And that's what he's done.
That's true.
And, it's so comical because everybody said, well, this Kirk deal really changed the market. It had nothing to do with that one.
Yeah.
It was all Devontae Adams.
Yeah.
I mean, he even said it himself. After we said it, on our spaces that we did, that it was a Devontae Adams deal. Today, Rosenhaus pops off and puts out a tweet, and he said, yeah, man, he said, that it really kind of started with that Adams deal, and, it changed the market, and we were close, but, it all ended up being where the money was at and where Tyreek wanted to be.
Exactly.
And so you guys know, he bought a house down there about a year ago. And he has been, and it's a big house. It's not little, but he's been spending every off season in Miami. He's closer to home. So I think maybe when you really think about it and you look at it from a different perspective, look, he got his Super Bowl ring. He's been in 2. He's put up all the stats in the world. Now he's just going for the money. The problem with it is that he's going to a team that doesn't have a quarterback that can throw a ball to catch up to him. So he's going to have to slow himself down to be able to actually play in a system like that. I mean, who do they have, bro? I mean, think about who they have down there.
They already got Jaden Jayden Waddle, Devontae
Bridgewater.
Parker, Bridgewater. They also got
Tua.
Tua. They also got on the defense. They got Agba.
Yeah,
and they got some good players. But I'm like, they're not really gonna do much.
Yeah,
I really don't see them doing much.
Who's going to be able to reach? Okay, think about it. Tyreek Hill, and if you figure from snap point on, he's at 22 miles an hour, and he's on the 10-yard line within 4 seconds, and say they're on the 25 when they start off. There's not a quarterback down there that can put the ball in the air that far accurately, even if they can get that far. So
yeah, if he's gone, I'm just glad it's to Miami where they can compete with the Bills for that division, and they have to give Tua more weapons, obviously, like he had at Alabama to be successful.
Yeah, exactly.
And the player he was at Alabama is probably what they're hoping that they're going to get now with more weapons on offense. And you really felt like he was probably carried a little bit in college with his great receivers, great coaching, and all that. And so I think they're trying to kind of create that again with him and then the new head coach.
Oh, yeah. Bama, I mean, when you have quarterbacks come out of there, unless you're really Jalen Hurts or maybe even the guy, Bryce Young, those guys got talent. All these other guys, you got carried by the best offensive line, the best defense, the best running back, the best wide receiver crew with all these 5 stars. I mean, he's good, but, it just shows you Tyreek's going to have to. And at this point, he's making $30 million a year. I know people got frustrated, but I tell people all the time. And I told people that day, the Chiefs cannot pay him $30 million a year. It's impossible with the cap situation that they're in. And since it's impossible, they're going to have to give that money to other players, spread that around between 2 or 3 or 4 different players. Mahomes is already making a lot of money. He can be moved around. It's a bonus. It can be do many different things. But to pay Tyreek Hill $30 million a year, to
plus
trade him,
$70 million fully guarantee. Woo!
It's a lot of money. You don't know what's going to happen. He could hurt himself. So different things could happen. But when the Chiefs decide to trade him at this time, it's the best move because he's in the height of his career, the prime. It's only going to get a little bit better, or it's going to start dropping off. I would feel it's going to go a little bit more. But 5 picks, a first, a second, 2 fourths, and a 6. That's 5 picks. I have never seen a player get those type of picks before, such as a Hurst Walker deal. Deshaun Watson, there's a little bit there, but Tyreek Hill just showed us, look, if you want to move a guy, you get a lot of picks, and the Dolphins are willing to do it. Yeah. So I think that's very phenomenal on Beach's part to realize, okay, fine, if you want $30 million a year, you don't want to be here, okay, we'll trade you off, and that's what they did.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the Chiefs
asking. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I think the Chiefs did a great job there because, for Devontae Adams, a lot of people look at him as the number one, and they got less for him than the Chiefs did. So I saw a lot of people complaining about the return on the deal, but I look at it and I'm like, well, we just saw a top tier wide receiver get traded for less than that, and a lot of people think he's better. So I actually think we did a really good job with what we got in return for him.
Yeah. Oh, Devontae Adams, of course, I think I don't know how old he is now.
I'll look it up.
I don't know if he's 29 or 30. He's been in the league 8 years.
Yeah,
it seems like a long time.
He is 29.
29.
Yeah.
So to be 29 years old, it's understandable. Wide receivers, some have lasted into their mid to late 30s, but for the most part, you do decline at some point, especially if you've had injuries. The one thing that I will say to Chiefs fans out there that were really concerned about it, Tyreek has had multiple quad injuries over the last couple of years. He's got a heel injury that's not going to go away unless he has surgery that's going to take him out of the game for a long period of time. So, and Veach did it at the exact time that he should have. He waited for the market to dictate what he was going to get. And when he watched Miami blow $200 million, he thought, okay, I'll go ahead and just trade you away.
Take it
and run. You can build it. And there's players in the draft that are faster, that have the same skill set. We're not going to be hurting. We got guys on our roster, and I don't know if you know who he is, Keaton, but Calab brought him to my attention, and ever since then, I think I've watched his film like 40 times because he amazes me, is Omar Bayless. He's sitting on our futures contract right now that people are going to be very surprised. Somebody said to me yesterday, well, he hasn't played in 2 years. That's not actually true. He did play a year, not this past year, but the year before, if I'm not mistaken. And I think he's going to be a huge impact player. Josh Gordon, still give him time to learn the playbook, get acclimated to our team. He's going to do very well. Then you bring in Juju. There's an opportunity for one more wide receiver that they're looking at right now.
The draft or free agency?
Free agency right now. And then I know he's got, hey, by the way, I spent extensive time on the phone today. Caleb knows this, with people. And I know a couple of each's wish list wide receivers in the draft. Man, if he gets either one of those guys, it's going to be phenomenal. And
I gotta guess.
One of them is actually faster. He clocked better than Tyreek did. I mean, he's almost at Bolt speed. So Bolt in his prime speed, I should say. So if you consider this wide receiver draft that's so heavy, now don't get me wrong, I am, and in our system, I am not the guy that thinks in 1 second that we're going to bring in a day one starter out of the draft. Especially as a wide receiver one. But unless you just find somebody that's uber intelligent and can do what they have to do. But I have a strange feeling that we're going to see the Mahomes of old now, because they're going to lay off a little bit of that two shell safety coverage that they've been putting on him. He learned to be able to, take what the defense has been giving him. But I think teams are underestimating the fact that he's the reason why we're as good as, our offense has been as good as it's been. So if they underestimate him and they want to go ahead and, dismiss who we still have and who we're bringing in, I hope they do. I really hope
honestly,
that's what they do.
I've been in a lot of group chats where a lot of people have been talking about it. And obviously when the trade happened, I was really surprised and sad. But, now I look at it and like, if you look at our last year's wide receivers, we had Robinson, Pringle, and Tyreek were our three starters basically, and Hardman. But the way I look at it now is, with Tyreek Hill out of the picture, Valdez-Scantling, I think is a massive upgrade over Robinson and Pringle, as well as bringing in Juju, which I think would have been our number 2 wide receiver probably last year. Now he's probably going to be number 1, depending on who we get in the draft. But across the board, I think we're better. Like if Tyreek Hill was to go down at any point this season, where would we be if we paid him that much money? So,
exactly.
Yeah, you're right. And you know what? If you really look at the numbers, Mahomes is 4-1 when Kelsey and Tyreek aren't on the field. So, it's not like, the talks of, this is what I think I like about it the most, is that all the talks about, well, look at all the weapons that he has. Look at all the weapons that he's got. Those weapons diminish from Sammy Watkins, Mo Hardman, Tyreek Hill to Travis Kelce. Now it's Travis Kelce, which of course is the best tight end in the game and may go down as the best in history, depending on how long he plays. But then you add in guys that aren't and haven't been considered a number 1 wide receiver, and he makes them look like superstars like he did in the past. It's going to prove exactly his worth and how great he actually is. No more talk about, it's all about his weapons. Okay.
It's not. You're supposed to build a team to help complement the quarterback.
Yeah.
You can't get mad at GMs for building a team and you can't get mad at Veach and Dorsey for getting a Kelsey, getting a Tyreek Hill, getting a Sammy Watkins in there. Yeah. That's how a team's supposed to go. Yeah. That's how it's supposed to work. You're supposed to get the best players as possible. So, when you got other fan bases complaining, it's like, just because you guys can't draft or bring in free agents doesn't mean that's bad for the Chiefs.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people's opinions are going to change. Like after the offseason over, we're like in phase 1 or maybe phase 2 of it. If we bring in another key defensive player, I think it's going to look a lot better, especially in a position of need like a corner or defensive end. If you bring in one of the guys like that, then your defense starts looking better. And as a team overall, you start looking better because you can spread money around to other positions of need that we saw. Last year against the Bills, our corners were torched all game. And so you bring in a corner, a high-end corner, and he's able to lock down a team's number 1 wide receiver. I think it's worth it no matter what.
Yeah. I see exactly where you're coming from.
I do too. And I'm still, look, I am never going to understand getting rid of Ward. That's not something that I will ever understand. Okay, look, he was a silent killer. The guy was absolutely the most consistent corner we had on our team. I don't understand it. I know it's probably a financial situation, and I'm glad he got his money, and more power to him. But man, that's a difficult pill to swallow. I mean, it really is. There was other corners that we could have, if they really wanted to move on a corner, there was other ones that we could have moved on before him. But it's difficult. I don't know why they moved on any of them at all. Because, we really didn't have this
Well, I'll tell you the reason why, JP. Because Veach is going to find great cornerbacks, and he's also going to draft him and find him on undrafted free agents.
Yeah.
I mean, he's always found him. And plus, you're always going to have a first-round cornerback somewhere that Veach wanted that ends up getting cut or is not doing well. You're going to trade a 6th, 7th-round pick and get him. Case in point, we saw Mike Hughes, John Dre Baker. The list goes on and on. There's probably a couple more too. Josh Jackson as well. So the list goes on. He's going to find his guys.
Yeah.
He's at this point, he's like, yeah. I mean, do we know what the comp pick's going to be for Charvarius Ward? I believe to me, it should be a 3rd. Would that say about right?
I think it was a 3rd. I'm almost positive.
Okay, it should be a 3rd. I mean, that's pretty good, though, to get an undrafted player, pay him pennies on dollar for all those years. He's very, very good. Gives you a 3rd comp pick. Been very consistent. That's good. Really.
Yeah. It just, I know as Chiefs fans, it's difficult to look at a player that's played for many years. We went through it with Tamba Ali. We went through it with Justin Houston. We went through it, well, not so much as Justin as we did Eric Berry, but when you see these guys that you think are never going to leave, I guess I should say, and then you don't see them in a Chiefs uniform the next year, it's difficult, especially when they're players that you really like. I understand that. I understood the moves with Berry and Houston, definitely D Ford. I understood all of those moves, DJ to some degree, but the reason was it was all purely financial from almost all of them except Houston. Houston, they could have, if they wanted to keep one, they could have kept him and, or somebody, and then cut Houston if they wanted to. But when you're giving away $43 million to 2 players in one season, one salary cap, and then you add in 2 other ones there. I mean, honestly, 3 to 4 of our players were making up 65% of our cap that season.
It's not good.
That's not good.
No, not at all.
So you just can't do that. And Veach, look, everybody's, even that guy that everybody thinks he has inside sources, I don't know what his name is, he put out in caps, "What the hell are you doing, Veach? What the F and this and that and the other." And I'm like, dude, you're a guy behind a computer and you're bitching about what somebody's just done that has brought us to 4 straight AFC championship games and 2 Super Bowls consecutively. So,
I mean, if you look at the move, I mean, it was fine.
Yeah. I mean,
there was nothing wrong with the move at all. I mean, I understand you're losing a guy, but Veach is the one. He's not going to make a move for no reason. He's going to have a backup plan. He could take those picks he has and trade them for another receiver. We have 2 first-round picks. I mean, many different things can happen. He has a plan in place.
He does.
He's just not going to trade off emotion. Correct. I mean, he's not Jerry. So
no. And there was other things at play when it came to Tyreek that kind of pushed it in that direction, but that is neither here nor there. That is something that just, it's not anything that is really needed to be talked about. But it ended up, I'll just put it this way. It turned out to be a very good thing for the organization. He's one player. I understand he's great, but he's one player. And it takes,
now, if this is Patrick Mahomes, I think we all show up at Arrowhead pretty quickly.
Look, I'm telling you right now, you might have seen me with a shotgun in my mouth, but I mean, that's just a different story. But it's one of those things where you look at it and you go, okay, we got, a 53-man roster. Tyreek last year really dropped a ton of passes, more than McCole Hardman did. In the Super Bowl, the prior year, he did nothing. Actually, nobody did really, except for Kelsey. He caught a few passes, and I think even D-Rob caught one, but for the most part, nobody really did anything. Tyreek has been kind of consistently dropping passes really since about week 10 of the 2020 season. He started slowly declining on this, catching the ball. So he would have these spurts where he caught, amazing, phenomenal catches. but he dropped more this past season than really he should have dropped. And he caused a lot of interceptions from Mahomes that really shouldn't have been there. I mean, I'll put 3 or 4 of those on him because they were directly to him and they bounced off and ended up in somebody else's hands.
Sure.
So and one of them was wide open. So it just is what it is.
Yeah, I think for next season, it's going to be really interesting to see how teams play us because, all year we saw 2 high safeties, but now we're looking at guys who can run better routes than we had before and still possibly with the draft. And it'll just see how Patrick Mahomes elevates his game to be able to make those guys shine. And hopefully our offense will be even better next year. That's in my opinion, they will be.
100%. And Caleb, as well as I do, he's already proven that he can do that because he's gotten players paid that were below average wide receivers and gotten them paid within their first year of being with him.
Conley, Wilson. The list goes on and on. You could say Pringle. Because of Pringle, I don't know who D-Rob, you could say he kept him relevant. Yeah. Somehow the Raiders paid $6 million for him. So, the Mahomes can, get anyone paid. So.
Yeah. I mean, that's proven. I mean, he's gotten so many people paid and he's made so many other people shine where other quarterbacks couldn't do that. That's what I love about this team is that it's all about fit within our system. That's how they look at it before they look at anything else. If they can fit within the system, they're going to figure out a way of making them better. And that's what we've done consistently for a very long time now. So I'm not worried about the move. A lot of people flipped out. I mean, initial shock is going to do that to you. Oh, by the way, let me bring something up before I forget. There was another grand jury tried to indict Deshaun Watson again, a single individual, weirdly enough, still tied with the same attorney that had the other ones. And that went on today, and it was immediately dismissed. They didn't there was not enough evidence to charge him, just like the other ones that went on 16, 17 months, and there was no evidence to charge him in any one of those situations. If he was actually what he says he was, then I would be the first person to say he's a pile of crap. But they've had way too much time to figure this out, and they've not been able to do it. It's time to leave the man alone and let him just play his game. It's tarnished his life. And as we've seen with Tyreek and we've seen with other people that have had issues, it never goes away. So this is going to be something that's going to follow him for a very long time. If
for the rest of his career, you see what Tyreek Hill, he's had to deal with stuff. You see a lot of other players around the league when something happens. So, it's a part of what comes about with, but he got traded. He got $230 million fully guaranteed. So
that's insane.
I think he'll be fine. Yeah. The Browns made a crazy trade. Baker Mayfield hasn't even been traded yet, so they can trade him. So, they're going to be set at the quarterback position, but it'll be interesting to see how that falls through. So, I like to watch to see
where he's going to go, Baker.
What do you think, Keaton?
I don't know, honestly. I thought the Colts before the Matt Ryan trade, but now, I heard something like they might even have to release him just from the fact that there's not a lot of teams out there that want him, because we've seen like the experiments with Indianapolis and Carson Wentz and just these low tier quarterbacks. They just don't. They just never perform well. So if I had to guess, I bet he gets released and then picked up by somebody. But that's my opinion.
I think he'll go to the Saints. That's my opinion. Put him in there.
I think they signed Jameis Winston already. Maybe.
I think you bring him in. You never know because of the knee injury. I know he's ahead of schedule, but a lot of things can happen. I feel like that could be one of the teams.
Who did the Falcons pick up?
Marcus Mariota.
Mariota.
Mariota. And then it's Mariota, and it's actually, weirdly enough, somebody that we were just talking about on Spaces is Josh Rosen. He's there too. So, and they're actually competing for the starting position. So it's going to be kind of interesting to see. I actually see him to be honest with you, I almost see him as a backup to somebody.
That could be very possible.
Unless Miami says, okay, wait, we just decided to trade for Tyreek Hill, and we know that neither one of our quarterbacks have the arm strength or the accuracy. Let's see if we can bring him in on a cheap deal. But his fifth-year option's pretty high, isn't it? I can't remember how much it is, but I think
he's a first number 1 overall pick, so it has to be pretty high.
Got to be, it's got to be up there. So probably
Then,
28 million or somewhere in that crazy range. I mean,
plus bringing in Bridgewater, I can see them doing that.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's gonna be pretty crazy to see what happens to him in the next.
Yep.
I got a weird feeling he's gonna end up being a backup because I think if some team wanted him, they would have already grabbed him.
Exactly.
So, or maybe they don't have no one. That's probably the only team that will take him, if we're being honest.
Who?
Seattle. They don't have a quarterback really.
Seattle, yeah. And I'm not really sure.
Team.
Did anybody ever see what they're asking for him as far as the trade was concerned? Does anybody know?
I know they started. I think they started with a first, and then they realized they couldn't get that, or maybe it was a second.
First.
There's
it's
no way.
Be like a third, or that's maybe a fourth, third, maybe late third, high fourth.
Yeah,
I wouldn't even give that. I wouldn't give that for him.
No. He's just, I don't know, dude. Caleb knows how I felt about the guy since day one, and I had a weird feeling it was going to come down to this, and here we are. I mean, it people can say, well, it's the Browns causing all of this. Maybe Johnny Manziel caused his own issues. Baker caused his own issues. It's just too much. There's too many things that have gone on from Baker's start till now to say, well, he's worth this amount of money, because he's not done anything to get them to that point. He's gotten to one playoff game. He won a playoff game, which is fantastic. But it really wasn't like just him. It was the entire team that got him where he was at, and he squeaked in. So I don't know, man. It's a strange situation. AFC West talk. Let's get into that a little bit, because we have been hearing it. We have been hearing it about how the Chiefs are going to be dead last. We don't have Tyreek Hill anymore. Mahomes is nothing without him, which we know that's not true. He single-handedly kicked the living shit out of the Raiders without Tyreek Hill or Travis Kelce. So, what do you got? What's your guys' prediction on the AFC West now without Tyreek Hill in the mix with us? Does that change anything?
Yeah, my friends have been saying the same things. Chiefs aren't gonna be the number one team anymore. But if you really look at it, Vegas is always pretty on top of things. And you look at it, their odds did not change much to win the AFC West, and as they probably shouldn't, because they still have the best quarterback in the division. They still have, after the draft, I believe, probably have the most well-rounded roster and the best coach. So, in my opinion, the Chargers are right there. So are the Broncos, but I think the Chiefs have an edge.
I think you're right too. I agree with you. The Chiefs have a great edge. When you look at the Broncos, they trade for Russell Wilson. They want to say let Russ cook. Okay, Russ can cook about 5-6 games, like JP said, 8-game guy, and then you see he's cooking potato salad with raisins. It's not good. Yeah. So it's not good at all. But
he's cooking in their stadium today.
I hope no one did something terrible. I hope their stadium is going to be all right. If someone did that, that's terrible.
What happened? I didn't hear.
I guess they had a fire. So my guess is something broke, or someone went in there acting crazy. They
said there was like construction going on. So that's
probably what it is. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Going to the Chargers though, I think they're right there with the Chiefs. I think they're like right underneath to be the second best team. They got the weapons. You're really going to have to just get to Herbert if you want to win. You're going to have to get to Herbert, and he's proven he can throw the ball at any point. The Raiders, trash. They're still at the bottom of the division. Yeah, they trade for Devontae Adams, but what's going to get a couple more wins a year? I still don't think they're going to beat the Chiefs. I still can see the Chiefs going 5-1, 6-0 in division. It's very possible with all the weapons they have. You still got the best coach, as Keaton just said, the best quarterback, probably have a really good wide receiver core. I think the Chiefs will be fine.
And you got Matt Nagy that came in.
That's true.
It's going to completely change the way we really play football. He's going to go back to the Matt Nagy of old, and our team is going. And look, the guys that are on our team absolutely love him that have played with them. Kelsey and Mahomes even, they love he cooks up some crazy ass plays on his own, and he learned from Andy, of course, but he does cook up some plays, and Andy lets him cook. So, that whole thing about let Russ cook. I mean, yeah, he'll cook for 8 games and then everything's raw after that. So I think the fire goes out. I don't know what happens, but
I think teams start figuring them out, and just there's no innovativity with the there's no changes with the playbook. It's not evolving over time. Like Andy, he'll add some wrinkles here or there. He'll say stuff. They're not really doing that. Okay, anyone can have a great 5 to 6 game stretch. Case in point, if you look at Alex Smith last year with the Chiefs, first 5 games like a crazy man. Went off like a crazy man, had some great numbers. And then after that, there were a couple games where he would do great and the defense would be terrible, or he was not good and the defense would do all the work. So, I mean, any quarterback, if they can figure it out, they can have a good stretch of games. That 2 to 3, the great ones, he get to about a 5 stretch. But as you see with Alex Smith, that last year, luck will sometimes run out, unfortunately. That just ends up happening.
Yeah, and that was his best statistical career, year of his career, too, on Alex Smith. So.
Yeah, and to your point, though, I mean, the rookie quarterbacks, not rookie, but Justin Herbert, I mean, them on their rookie deals, I think is the biggest advantage in all of football. I don't think there's a bigger advantage because of the players you can sign due to the cap space you have when you have good quarterbacks on the rookie deal. And I think the Chargers are really benefiting from that right now. And I think whenever Herbert signs that extension, I mean, they're going to find themselves in the same spot as the Chiefs, along with a lot of the other teams.
Exactly. I had my friend who's a Chargers fan, and he was telling me Herbert's not going to take that much money. I'm like, okay, we'll see.
Well, he'll get more Mahomes, guarantee it.
You think so?
The quarterback market will be even higher. I mean,
Aaron Rodgers. Mahomes. Go ahead. Sorry.
Aaron Rodgers already beat him by $5 million, so I think he'll be around that.
Yeah, but you got to look at longevity, though. I mean, yeah, Aaron Rodgers beat him by $5 million, but when you really, I mean, it's irrelevant compared to the years that Mahomes is being paid for. Plus, you have to look at all the bonuses Mahomes is going to pick up. His number goes from, it could actually reach to that $5.5 million mark. And I don't know that unless Herbert brings them to an AFC championship game this year, his extension will be next year, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
I don't see him getting that much money. The quarterback market's changed, but I don't think he's going to beat out Mahomes. I think he'll beat out, a lot of quarterbacks, but I don't think he'll beat out Mahomes. It's going to be hard pressed for anybody. What they're going to say is, and that's what every owner GM is going to say is, okay, well, you want to be paid higher than Mahomes, then do what he's doing. Do what he's done. Get close to what he's done.
I mean, you have guys. I mean, I said this in the space the other day, and it was kind of funny, but Mahomes has been through to 4 AFC Championship games. They needed to rename the AFC Championship game to the Arrowhead Invitational. I'm taking that from Nick right. It's the Arrowhead Invitational at this point. He's been to 4 of those.
Yeah.
He's been to 2 Super Bowls, back-to-back Super Bowls, won a Super Bowl MVP. I mean, that's pretty good. That's pretty good when you look at other quarterbacks. Now, can Herbert do it? I don't know. But he's going to have to get past the playoffs. That's true, and he hasn't even won the division. He hasn't won the division. So, I mean, before they want to start saying, the Chargers or the Broncos are going to be ahead. Okay, first off, the Broncos have not beat the Chiefs since 2015. I make sure to remind every Broncos I know, like, look, slow your roll. You have not beat the Chiefs since 2015. The Chargers, you beat the Chiefs once a year, but that's kind of it. That's basically your quote-unquote Super Bowl. Then as we move on to the Raiders, y'all been trash for years. I mean, you'll get a win every other year, but y'all still been trash. You may go up a 1 or 2, but it's not going to be much. It's really not.
No, it's not. It's not. I mean, they're still in there. Look, I'm sorry, but as long as they got Derek Carr on that team, they're not going to get anywhere. And look, you're thinking, and look, it always makes me laugh when somebody says, "Oh, well, this team's going to be phenomenal because of who they brought in," but nobody takes into consideration. Most of these teams have brand new coaches, brand new OCs, brand new DCs, brand new quarterback coaches. All the positioning coaches are new. You got a bunch of players that haven't played together or may not even get along for that matter. And they're expecting these teams to be Super Bowl contenders the first year. It's not going to happen. It's no different than what Denver just did. They gave away their future for a quarterback that consistently over the last 5 years has been an 8-game guy. And I understand that they really didn't do a whole lot to upgrade their offensive line, but they did do more for his wide receiver core, his running back core, and he had arguably one of the best wide receivers in the league and won 7 games. So,
plus he was injured too.
Huh?
I said plus he was injured too, but I think he was injured. Look at it as a whole, their team is incomplete, and that's something Brad Veach is trying to do. First year, revamp the defense. It was terrible. Second year, offensive line wasn't bad. Revamp the offensive line. Third year, I mean, you see he's bringing in defensive players. So, and he's having a guy come in tomorrow as a visit. So maybe we're going to get a better defensive line. I said this to JP, not a Super Bowl. If the Chiefs want to, the Chiefs need to get a defensive line similar to the Rams if they want to have a shot of being dominant. You can't be Sack Nation and get 29 sacks. Or what was that? What's the number, JP? Is it 29? 28 sacks. You can't be Sack Nation. Yeah. You can't be Sack Nation. And you also can't be the leader of Sack Nation if you let a guy go through your fingers. No. I mean, I love Chris Jones, but man, they gotta bring some guys that can help. I know they want to bring guys like Jaron Reed, didn't work. You're gonna have to bring in some guys that can help, and you need some edge rushers. You need edge rushers that can get to the quarterback.
Yeah, and I tell you what, I'm sorry, but and I hate to break it to all these Chiefs fans, but I don't believe Melvin Ingram's coming back.
You don't think so?
No, he's
okay. Well, the first you were here, people who hear this, you're the first ones to hear it. JP just believes this.
From what I understand, he's wanting a 2-year contract, and he's asking for a pretty decent chunk of money. And I don't know that. I don't believe that Clark. I mean, I'm sorry. Give it to him? Veach is going to bring it to him. So
who's going to give it to him, man?
For what he's asking for, I don't know. I mean, now if he really wants to stay, because he did feel very comfortable here, he's going to have to adjust his number, because what he's asking for is too much. So
I mean, I think that's fair. Another 1-year deal.
Well, if you do one with an option, and then you got bonus money conversion, that's a different story. But from what I understand,
the starting spot is his.
Yeah,
I mean, you don't have no one else that can do it.
Yeah. Exactly. So he's on the other side of 30, and he's got to realize that there's not a lot of teams out there that are going to give him what he's asking for.
Exactly.
And the number that I'm hearing is pretty high. So this may not be exactly 100% accurate, but from what I understand, it's $4.75 million a year for 2 years plus bonuses. And I think that's kind of high.
$4.75 million. I don't think that's that bad, though. I'll be honest with you.
I think I would pay that for him.
I feel like that's pretty favorable. So 2 years, you're looking at pushing it to 10. That's not really bad. Bonuses
no, it's
could take
actually
a little
bit more. I think it was with bonuses and other things. I think it was a little more than 10, but I think they're looking at age factor and like I said, those numbers may be not 100% correct. I got those from a guy that is usually pretty accurate, but and he may be asking for a little bit more. But what I understand is he's asking for a lot more than what most other teams think that he's worth.
I can understand that. I think he's trying to leverage the fact that how he was able to change the defense when he came in and use that to his advantage there.
And I agree with you. I mean, Pittsburgh, they paid him, I think it was somewhere around $3.8 million, if I'm not mistaken, on his contract with them, and he was not utilized. But he is a guy that has had a pretty major injury. He is on the other side of 30. If they bring him back, I think it's going to have to be a number. And it maybe, you never know. Now that we've got this cap space open back up, if they can't find somebody to fill that position, that's a lot more talented, maybe they will bring him back at a decent number. Maybe that's not horrible in numbers for a guy that's 25, 26, 27 years old. But a guy on the other side of 30 that really didn't get a whole lot of sacks last year. Got a lot of pressure, but he didn't get a lot of sacks. I don't know, man.
And I feel like that's the issue, though, too. They need guys against sacks. Forget the pressures. We've seen the Chiefs get burned when they get pressures. They need sacks.
They need speed.
And they're not making well, I don't know if they're going to make the trades for these guys, but they really need to get some people that can come and help get to the quarterback and help them get sacks.
Yeah.
I mean, you can draft some guys, but can they be clutch at the right time? That's the issue.
And, in my opinion, I think it'll help, especially if in the draft you get a bunch of corners to come in and just add a couple seconds, maybe a second or two to how long a quarterback holds onto the ball. I think that's a big part of it. And people overlook that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a huge part. We have been lacking speed from the edge rusher side for a long time. And when I watch teams like the Cowboys and other teams that they jump off the ball so quickly and their technique is, really there that they can, because a lot of times, like I said numerous times, the one thing that Derek taught me was technique means more than strength when it comes to being, an edge rusher or a defensive end. And technique right now is, and I see a lot of that in Von Miller. Von Miller has a ton of technique. He's not the strongest guy out there, but man, he's got technique like, he emulates a lot of what Derek did. So it's hard to sit and watch other teams that have so much more speed and so much more burst off the ball than we do.
You guys think they're going to make a trade for an edge rusher, someone that's dominant?
I heard that they were looking at one or two in right now. So, and that may come fairly quick. One thing I do know that Veach is looking at 3 more players within this trade scenario. If he gets the 3, he's done. If he gets 2 of them, he's going to go after 1 more. But one of them may sign as early as tonight, may sign tomorrow. If that deal gets completed, from what I understand, they were waiting for the deal, the other deal to get done today, the earlier deal to get done today, the Scantling deal, and then they were going to sign him. So, and that's ROJo. So we'll just have to see how that plays out. They are looking at, they've talked to Gilmore, from what I understand, 3 times now. And I've heard it's come down to the Patriots and the Chiefs. And if he goes back to the Patriots, I don't understand why, but we've seen these players do it in the past. But if he comes to Kansas City, that's fantastic.
That's a good solid corner to have.
Very good solid corner to have.
We'll shut down one side of the field.
Yeah.
I think that's really good.
The Chiefs just going to have to be a little bit more aggressive if they want him. And they've seen what happens if they don't. So,
and I have a feeling though, JP, they, like you said, they let everything the first phase or free agency come through fruition. Then they're coming up and getting these other guys that they know who are going to come in a lot of money, but it's still valuable, that is still good and can help this team. Exactly. So I think they played it perfectly so far.
Yeah.
Every day you see they're signing a different player.
I totally agree. I think a lot of people's opinion about Chiefs offseason is going to change very quickly when he starts rolling out these moves like a Gilmore, because I think they'll get one big player, at least like a Gilmore. And if you look at that, spread the money to the defensive side of the ball is what we've needed for a long time. A solid defense. Patrick Mahomes, if they had a top 10 defense last year, how many games are they winning? I think probably
they win
a lot more than they did.
Only a 2.
They probably would have been in the Super Bowl for sure. So.
Yeah, that's true.
That's what Tom Brady did for all these years. People make fun of him for it, but he did have one of the best defenses pretty much for his whole career, and as he does now, and we're going to need it when we're going up against these high-powered offenses in the AFC now. They're almost all the talent quarterback-wise is in the AFC, so I think that would be the move to make if I was the Chiefs.
And on top of that, if they were to bring back a Tyrann Mathieu, 3 safeties set,
my God,
perfect. That's perfect.
I love that. I wish that happens.
If that happens.
Yeah. And I got to tell you, you know what? Tyrann's been, hey man, he's still on the Chiefs side. So he made a comment actually. I know what the comment was about, and I'm glad he kind of said it to a degree. A lot of the tweets got deleted that were put up, and some of it was from Instagram that he had seen, but he made a comment today, when your ego gets something about when your ego takes over, humble yourself down or something to that degree. And that was really directed towards Tyreek Hill because of some of the things that he was saying. And Tyreek did delete a lot of those tweets. But look, man, people can be mad. They can get upset. I will say this: the Chiefs, if they want to bring Tyron back and get him back into his mode, they're going to have to build the trust factor back up.
Yeah, they're going to have to.
They have to build the trust factor back up, and they lost that. So, and Caleb and I don't know how long you've been listening to the show, but we knew about, God, that was what, almost 2 months ago now that he had told us. Yeah, that he had told us.
Oh yeah, well, about a month.
About a month.
About a month.
He had no clarity. He wanted to stay in Kansas City. He loved the kingdom. He loved his teammates. I mean, his wife has a business there. He's planted roots. He planned on retiring there, but he just wanted clarity.
And do you think that's the reason he still hasn't signed yet, or?
No, he hasn't signed with anybody else. I mean, he's talked to a couple of other teams, but not too many people have chased him down. So, I know the Pittsburgh Steelers did. They are officially, and then we were actually the ones that said he was officially out with Pittsburgh on Spaces. I was in an AFC North Spaces, and God, that got insane. But that thing went on from 9:00 at night until the following night about 10:00. That's how long the guy actually that started it went to sleep, woke up and started over again, while everybody else continued to talk all night long. They just kept adding to it and adding to it. But I think if they mend that trust factor with him and they bring him back, and I think he knows it as well, that is going to be huge, huge for this defense. 3 safety set, a couple of crazy corners, and a slot. Man, can you imagine what our defense would be like? Our secondary would be insane.
No, exactly, yeah. That'd be great.
Yeah.
I mean, but when I'm saying this, in order to keep the relationship, Sorensen had no business starting. He had no business starting. And I think Spags is part of the reasons why the defense struggled too. He continued to let Sorensen play, and that cost the team several games.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it did. So, I mean, I'm not taking a dig at Sorensen. I'm like, he underperformed greatly. They expected him to play this greater role, and he completely did not do well at all. And it hurt the team. It really hurt the team.
Yeah. And I actually wrote about that, like in the article I wrote about, and if the Chiefs were to bring back Tyrann Mathieu, I mean, and with the Justin Reed signing, how would you rank our secondary? I mean, I would say top 5 in the league. And that how big of a jump that would be from 1 year to having probably the worst secondary in the league to having one of the best. And I think that would, for a defense that struggles to get pressures, I think that would help all the way around, not only just the pressures, but interceptions, getting the ball turnover a little bit more. I think it would take us back to that a couple years ago when we had, I think we almost led the leagues in sacks.
Yeah. And you're right. I mean, we've said this time and time again, your breakdown starts at the defensive line, and it's just a domino effect moving backwards. But, we did have a solid cornerback group. I mean, at one point we were top 10, Caleb, in the cornerback
top
group?
10, top 15.
Yeah. I mean, we had a really solid cornerback group last year when Ward got, he was out for a few games. And then what really brought our defense down was the week 17 move. I know that sounds crazy, but when you have 2 games that you give up, we were at one point during our 8-game winning streak, we were 6th in points allowed and ranked top 10 overall. And then we went from that to rank 27th overall. Yeah. Because we gave up way too many points and we lost. I mean, when you really look at it, it
had no business losing that game.
We had no business losing that game. So it's going to have to be a situation that we really make a conscious effort to start with the defensive line. We've got a great linebacking core right now. Maybe add one more to that, and then build the cornerback and safeties back up. And we've already started with the safeties. We got Juan Thornhill. We got Reed. We put Tyron back in there. Oh my God, what we would have. I mean, that would be insane. I'm sorry, but it would be phenomenal.
It would help. It would help in all areas of the game.
Oh man.
And I think I saw somewhere that Gilmore and Tyron were talking about teaming up possibly with the Raiders or wherever else they might go. I saw that in a tweet. So I'm not sure if that's true, but I mean, if they're in communications like that, I mean, you think if one of the other signs, I mean, it could be a really big deciding factor for the other one.
Well, yeah. I mean, if that happens and he ends up, God forbid, he goes back to the Patriots, I'd hate to see Tyron with the Patriots, but
yeah.
I don't see Tyron lasting in Belichick's system.
Yeah, it's difficult.
Like, I don't see him doing good with the Raiders too. I think there's some systems where too much inconsistency is just not going to work.
Yeah, and Tyron's too regimented. So when if you have too much, I mean, he couldn't stand what was going on with Sorensen and Neiman. So can you imagine if he's stuck in a system that it's like complete kind of chaos compared to what?
Yeah,
with no structure.
He's used to consistency till the last year. I mean, when you look at the end of the day, there's just too many question marks for this team. Looking at the Chiefs, you know that they're going to be consistent. They're making the moves. So
yeah,
I think you bring them back. I don't see why you don't. I really
agree.
don't.
I agree. I just wished, I hope and pray that they do get the communication back and the trust factor back, and they bring him back. You got the money to do it now, so you might as well do it. I do believe he would come back if they would build that structure, build that trust factor back. I think.
Have they been talking at all? Do you know?
I did hear that they have talked over the last 10, 12 days, which is kind of the first time that they've talked since this all really happened. I was really surprised, and I was actually a little disappointed, to be honest with you. It's the first time that I've seen the Chiefs not have any communication with the player other than players that have been problems, and they still had communication with even some of them, but to have zero communication with somebody like him, to me, I think was kind of a slap in the face. I understand there were issues that went on last year that we've talked about on the show in the past, but you still have to have enough respect for somebody that did so much for your team to be able to,
agree.
At least have a conversation in some aspect.
Yeah. And how great would it be? How great would it be to have a veteran leader come back and teach all these young corners that are possibly going to be picked in the draft? I mean, that would have a major impact in their careers. And even after he's gone, I mean, we could sign the next Tyrann Mathieu. I mean, draft the next Tyrann Mathieu.
There's a couple really good safeties out there that remind me of Tyrann in a way.
Yeah.
And they're a little bit better tacklers and hard hitters, but they got the same urgency that he does. So those players are out there.
Well, and for everybody that, that's kept saying he doesn't tackle, man, the guy was hurt. You can't put everything on a 1 year of him not tackling very well. He's still, did you look at his numbers? Brandon put him out. He was still one of the best in the league, and his numbers were just slightly under other safeties in the league as far as tackling is concerned, that they consider these great safeties. And he was injured from week 4 on. So
that is true.
And he played through it. So it's not like he's, he just laid down. He didn't lay down. He had some very frustrating situations that went on during the year, and it's understandable. Hell, anybody would have been frustrated.
And he still had 3 picks.
Yeah, exactly. So
I think he had the most interceptions I've seen him have this season.
Yeah,
turnovers.
Since he's been with the Chiefs, he's had 21 interceptions.
That's really good. That's really good in 3 years.
In 3 years, he's had 21 interceptions.
Yeah,
that's pretty insane. When you really think about it, it's numbers that I don't think there's not another safety out there that's had 21 in 3 years that I know of anyway. So, we'd have to pull that up and see, but I don't think there's another safety out there that's had 21 interceptions in the last 3 years. In fact, Brandon put that stat out, and I was like, wow, I didn't realize it was that many. But it's crazy to think that he's had that many interceptions.
Yeah, what's even crazier about that was most of them are like balls that it just seems like luck. But when a player is always around the ball, that's what happens. Like he's always around the tackle, and whenever,
I want to look it up. I want to make sure those numbers.
Well, I'm looking at it right now, and it says 2019 he had 4, 2020 had 6, and then 2021 he had 3. So he only had 13.
Because maybe he's had 21 in his career, 13 with the Chiefs in 3 years. That's what it was.
Okay, then that
makes
could
sense.
be
that makes more sense. Yeah.
Okay.
So 21 in his career, 13 of those were with the Chiefs in 3 years. That's still phenomenal.
Very good. Very good.
I mean, those are better than most cornerbacks. So, I don't know, man. It's just, it's hard to see him go, and I don't want to see him go. I'm hoping that, things, maybe Veach is waiting for this post June 1st situation and to see what else is out there. I don't know. I know that from what I have heard, they have had conversations. Hopefully they're mending things and they'll bring him back. And we don't have a true veteran leader on the defense.
Oh, we need one.
And we have to have one, especially if they don't bring back Ingram and they don't, Jones is as much as I love Chris Jones, I don't know if he's a leader or not. He's really not that guy that can go out there and motivate everybody as much as Tyron did. And his football IQ is off the chart. So he's just extremely intelligent. And I think
Tyron makes sure everyone gets lined up. And when he does that, I mean, he knows they're not playing. He's not playing around.
Exactly. And, we got rid of Hitchens, which we knew. We talked about it we talked about it last year when they drafted him. We knew he was Hitchens' replacement when they drafted Bolton. So that was a given. It was just going to happen. We just have to, really step it up, and hopefully with what we're hearing about, and I do know 2 of it. I'm not going to say it on the show, and I'm not going to run it for Veach, but he does have 2 wish list wide receivers in the draft that he wants to go after. And man, I hope to God he gets one of them. But we really, and like Keaton said, Veach has been methodically building different portions of the team without compromising wins and playoff appearances. And that's really how you have to do it. You can't do these fire sales and then expect to go to the Super Bowl or be in the playoffs the following year. It very rarely happens, if any. So it's very difficult to do that. When we were doing that Spaces the other day, somebody brought up Brady again, like they do every 5 minutes. And they said, well, Brady did it. And I said, Brady walked into a stacked offense in a crap division with a stacked defense. So not only did he have, and then they added to that offense, and they actually added to the defense as well. But when you have, again, a top 5 defense, and you also add in, think about it like this. And this is a great perspective to think about it. In Brady's career, everybody always says he never had these phenomenal wide receivers, right? He never had a complete weaponry around him when it comes to the offense. Okay, well, the year that he did, he lost to the Giants. The other time he lost to the Giants, I believe he had one of the best tight ends and a great wide receiver. He's had weapons. He's had Julian Edelman, one of the better players in the league.
They've been consistent. They're very consistent.
Yeah, and he's had Gronk. But if you really look at it, he wasn't the reason why all of those wins happened, why that team went to the Super Bowl 9 times. It was a top 5 defense and arguably the best coach that's ever coached in football, and a lot of luck and a lot of help, from outside entities. I'll put it that way. So when you have somebody like Mahomes that can take a team that he's brand new with in 2018, and yes, he had weapons. He had a rookie wide receiver in McCole Hardman. Was that 18 when we brought McCole?
McCole was 18 draft.
Yeah, 18.
Cole was 18 draft.
Yeah. So you got a rookie, you got Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, and Sammy Watkins. So you really had, he walked into a decent group of guys and 2 phenomenal guys, but it wasn't like he walked into the best defensive situation, and he still went to the AFC Championship game and lost on a bullshit penalty in overtime against the Patriots on top of it. So, and we've seen what's happened to the Patriots when they don't have top 5, top 10 defenses. 2019 was a great example. They struggle.
So
Caleb and I were doing a show and it was like week, I think 4 or 5 in that season. And I said, wait until week 9. And Caleb said, explain it. And I said, okay, they got to play a real football team. I said, their whole season's been front loaded.
Yeah, they're playing against the easy AFC East division. I think they also have the easy part of the NFC West division.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's front loaded and back loaded. I mean, they lost to, I think that year they lost to the 3
playoff teams.
The 3 playoff teams.
Yeah.
It's like, this just proves to us this team is a fraud.
Yeah.
They're just getting by because they haven't played anyone.
And then my question is how is it that in Mahomes' first couple years of being like the best quarterback in the league that every team loads up in his division, and Tom Brady was able to play 15 plus years in a division and never have even an opponent, not even a good team to play against.
And the NFC South is no better. Better.
Yeah.
Now the Saints might beat them, but that's it.
Yeah. And the crazy part is that he had his choice. His wife wanted to move to LA. We all know about this. And if you don't, you do now. His wife wanted to move to LA. He was going to go with the with the 49ers. And he thought, wait a minute, do I really want to go against the Rams? And do I really, do I want to go into a division that's pretty tough? Maybe not. Then it was the Chargers that he talked about. Oh shit. Then I got to play against Mahomes. Nah, I don't want to do that. So let's find a division that's falling apart and Drew Brees
has some weapons around on that team,
and a team that's got complete weapons. Oh well, the Bucs are great. So he went from one bad division. Yeah. So he went from a one bad division to another bad division, maybe not as bad as the AFC East was at, for the majority of his career with them, but they're still not the greatest division out there. So, especially over the last 2 years. So it's comical to think about if people really put it into perspective. I just don't like when they put everything into one basket and they say it was all because of one player. Like they're doing with us right now. Look what they're doing. Look what people are saying right now about us. The Chiefs are going to lose because they don't have Tyreek Hill. Now they're going to be dead last in the division. Why do you think one player is going to make that much of a difference? Why does anybody believe that? I mean, we've proven that he can win without him. So what does it matter at this point? I don't know, man. It's kind of insane to think about, but we're not in a bad position for everybody out there that believes we are.
Yeah, doing the second, third wave free agency where you can get some good players and not overpaying for them.
Exactly. I mean, he's done this year in and year out. He brings in guys out of the draft. He brings in guys that are still on rookie contracts. They turn out to be great. We still get where we need to be. And if you really look at it, how many guys on our roster, Caleb, last year and the year before were on rookie contracts?
Good amount.
75% of them?
A good amount. That's how you have to build a team.
Yeah. I mean, when you got 75, even if you got 50% of your team that's on a rookie contract and you go to a Super Bowl and win, come on, man. I mean, your veterans, in fact, we could take the 2019 season, or no, let's just take 2021 for that matter. Your veterans were Chris Jones. You had what did we counted it up the other day? What was it? 5 or 7 guys that were not out of the 53-man roster that were actually veterans. Everybody else were still on a rookie deal.
I think.
Yeah.
Or maybe a little bit more, pushing 10.
Yeah. So if, say 5 or 10% of your entire rosters, veterans, and some of them were new to our system. I don't know, man. It's just hard to, it's hard to fathom that one player is going to make us crumble.
Yeah.
So
speaking of rookie contracts, I mean, what do you think is going to happen in the draft in terms of trading up? Because it seems like to me, at least, that with the amount of picks, I mean, with Beach's, track record of trading up and whatnot, what do you think is going to happen with all those picks? Are we going to use that as because of the depth in this draft? Or are we going to trade up maybe to get a top tier player?
I honestly think with those 2 first round picks, 29 and 30, he could make a case with a team to get in the top 10. not the top 5, but push me in that legend area in the top 10. I think it's a very good chance. We have 12 draft picks, so he could easily swing 3 of those and get into the top 10 easily.
How many
He
teams
could also
out
use
there
that
have that many?
Huh?
By the way, how many teams? I didn't mean to interrupt you, but how many teams have 12 draft picks right now?
Not many at all.
None. We have the most.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I like Burks out of Arkansas. I'm an Arkansas fan, obviously. I got an Arkansas shirt on here, but I think he's going to be a stud. If we were able to get him, I think a lot of people would see that Tyreek Hill trade, and I think he's a future Hall of Famer. That's my opinion.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree. His wish list, guys, as far as wide receivers are concerned, Caleb, you actually have, I think, both of them on your draft board. And
I do. What you told me.
Yeah, and if he gets either one of them, God,
that's gonna be nice.
Yeah, I mean, but I think he's gonna,
I need to see this draft board.
What do you think,
man?
Caleb? I mean,
we'll see. We'll talk off screen. We'll talk off
screen about that. But let me tell you something about Caleb.
All right,
it's like, you know who Daniel Jeremiah is?
Yes.
Okay, well, Caleb's better than him. He is actually.
I don't know about that.
I do.
I believe
because you've actually picked more
players. A lot of these,
than he has. That's the crazy part. When I looked at what you did that year, you actually beat out Daniel Jeremiah and probably 3 other guys. I think you beat out what's his name? The other one that does it with him on NFL Network. Booker. But is his name Booker?
Booger McFarland.
No, this guy is named Bucky Brooks.
Bucky Brooks. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Caleb beat out both of them. And it seems like every year he's always nailing, at least 3 of who we're going to grab. Even when we have a lot of draft picks, Caleb nails them. So he's like a draft guru. Well, they ought to start looking at his ass and saying, hey, why don't you come on down and let me.
I will say,
you to do that.
The players I had on my list, the one year I did really, really well was CEH. Willie Gay was on there.
Yeah.
I also had guys like Isaiah McKenzie for the Bills. I thought he was going to do really good. There was I don't have the player list with me, but I was able to kind of pinpoint. And now with the team we have, having Charles and Phillip, Charles has been great at finding players, is adding stuff, but adding Phillip. And I don't know if you've seen Phillip's stuff, Keaton, but Phillip has nailed some players down. Like he predicted that they're going to get players such as a Creed Humphreys or a Nick Bolton. So I'm telling you guys right now, this draft list is going to be pretty good, and I think you guys will be very very happy to see, because looking at it, there's a lot of good players, and finding the right ones to help the team is very, very beneficial moving forward. So I always try to look at different draft boards, look kind of what are the players around, and just kind of see, okay, what are the fits? One thing I would say is that Veach likes to go after, so you can go after those guys from Alabama or the Ohio States or the Clemsons, but sometimes he's going to find those guys from the MAC conference, the AAC, the Sun Belt, the list, the SWAC, the WAC, the list goes on and on. He's going to find some players. So I think when you look at it in the day, there are many different things out there that can be very beneficial.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be I do believe he's going to go after a wide receiver in the first round. I have that weird feeling. But I think it's going to be mainly defensive. It's going to be a defensive run for the draft for Veach. I think he's going to load up. And he's done this, he's methodically done this every time through the draft. His first draft, of course, he had a couple of misses, but one of them was Breland Speaks. And who was the other one, Caleb, that year?
Oh, so the misses that he's had was Breland Speaks, Traymon Smith were the 2 glaring ones. Breland Speaks, however, that one, they added him in, and he was in a defense that really wasn't going to help him. Like, they were trying to make him be the outside guy, the edge. It wasn't going to work out. Also adding him to Traymon Smith. I mean, he did some good stuff, but it's just going to work out there. Try to running back, try to keep him. Didn't work out there. The next year, let me think. I think the next year was pretty good.
Yeah.
This past season, I would say the past season. Oh, and Khalil McKenzie, another one. He was good though, but there just not wasn't enough room for him as an offensive tackle on the team as well. So he had some misses, but I would say Khalil McKenzie really wasn't a miss because he played really well. Transfer from defensive tackle to offensive tackle, did pretty well, but because of how the order was, he just didn't make the team, unfortunately.
Yeah. He hasn't missed. He's had a lot more wins than he's had misses. That's for sure. His last two drafts, I think, have been the best.
I would say so. Yeah,
I mean,
for sure.
They were A+ drafts.
That last draft, especially.
Oh God, I mean, the draft before was Willie Gay, L'Jarius Sneed. Who else was on that draft class?
I'm trying to look it up right now.
I can't remember besides those two because they stand out the most. But
so yes, you want the 2020 or the 20? I'll just do the 2020 first. Okay, yeah. So 2020 was CEH, so Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Willie Gay, Lucas Nying, L'Jarius Sneed. Fun fact, I thought the Chiefs, his teammate, Amik Robertson, was really good. You also had Mike Dana, who's on the team now, and also Bo P. Keys. He's a good cornerback, but they kind of decided to let him go to see if he would test the market, and unfortunately, he was gone. So that was a 2020 draft class. The only player who's not here from that draft class is Bo P. Keys, and all these players have been pretty good.
Pretty damn
They've
good.
They've been pretty good there. Moving on to the 2021 draft class. Just a couple things. So we see that Nick Bolton was obviously the first pick there at number 58. As this thing loads, the second group is Creed Humphreys. Then you got Josh Kando, which wasn't a bad move. I mean, he had some injury that I think he could still help. Noah Gray, tight end. I think that was good to help with the depth. Cornell Powell, he's going to take a leap forward this year. 6th round pick out of future Hall of Famer, in my opinion, Trey Smith.
Oh,
so those picks all right there have been hits. Only draft years, only one player has not been on it. Only one player has not been on this draft class in 2 years. That's pretty good. And these players have been starting and been impactful for the most part.
And especially the ones in the first couple rounds. I mean, if you can get 4 quality starters with the first 4 picks in the draft this year, I think you're looking at easily a Super Bowl contending team, especially if there are positions of need, such as like corner, wide receiver, defensive end, stuff like that. Because you get 4 starters, I think everyone would agree that the draft is, or the Tyreek Hill trade would be worth it. But it just all comes down to who are they able to get with those picks, obviously.
And Veach has always been one of those guys that likes the late round guys, and so do I, because those are the guys, your late round guys and your undrafted free agents. Those are the guys that are the most hungry, and the guys from those small schools that, work really hard to be noticed. They work really hard to get noticed because they are from a small school. They don't have the notoriety. They're not, in any really, you don't see them on TV a lot. You don't hear their name a lot. And Veach, he's went after a bunch of those guys, and it's worked out well for him. I mean, shit, Kareem Hunt came from Toledo.
Yeah,
I mean,
Mac school.
So, oh, by the way, bringing his name up, from what I understand, he's still on the cut board, and it may be a post June 1st cut, but I think they are going to cut him unless they figure out a way of working something out, which I don't know if they will or won't. But this Deshaun Watson thing really kind of put them over the edge, and plus they have a lot of other players, and they've got a bunch of dead money that they're trying to make up for. So. I have a feeling that he's going to be cut. I've been hearing that for a while now. And I did hear prior to that, and we mentioned this on the show, that he wanted away from Cleveland. So, and by the way, don't forget that there is one other person that may end up being with us. And if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. It won't hurt my feelings either way. I would like to see him. But Jarvis Landry is an option for us right now. And I've heard that there's been a couple of talks about with him and the Chiefs. So
to the Kareem Hunt thing, I mean, to release a guy, I mean, to me, it was the right move at the time, especially with what he said compared to what actually happened with the front office, and it made sense to release him. For some reason, I just can't see them bringing him back because it just feels like, I mean, you release him and then just to get him back a couple years later just feels odd, especially if they add a player that you were talking about earlier, and possibly, I mean, maybe even draft a late round running back. I mean, It just all. I think it depends mostly on how they feel about Clyde coming into the season, especially his injury history. But I think they feel pretty decent about their running game, especially with the offensive line. And I mean, we all know, running backs, one of the most easily replaceable position in the league. And we saw McKinnon take off last year under the same O-line. So
I will
we'll
say
see.
with McKinnon, though, if he plays a full season like CH, he does get hurt. Sample size. CH plays 3 or 4 games and he's out for 2 or 3. Same cycle has happened a couple times a year. McKinnon did jump off. You are right. But I think he's kind of similar to Clyde because he gets hurt. And the 3 seasons he's had, he hasn't really been consistent playing a full season. So I think he popped off at the right time to help us as a scat back moving forward. But I really think they got to go get a bruiser. If they could bring back Kareem Hunt, that'd be nice. I mean, they would probably get him on pennies on a dollar for being honest, like something cheap.
Yeah.
But I do agree with you also, Keaton, that they could probably easily find someone too. Yeah. I mean, there's the guys that are always out there.
Yeah.
And we still have Darrell Williams on a futures contract. So
he's back? I didn't see that. I
understand. Somebody I didn't know it either. I thought that he moved on, but unless that's completely wrong on,
because they haven't said anything yet I've seen.
Nick
but
Jacobs
I could be wrong.
is the one that said that. So okay. I mean, but he's been wrong, a few times, and not like everybody else has. That's no slight against him, but I did see one of his posts that said that he's on a futures contract.
I hadn't seen that,
and I hadn't had a chance to really ask and look around, but from what I seen on his post, at one point he said that somebody asked him about him, and he said we have him on a futures contract.
Well, I'm looking. He did post a tweet today of kind of a hype video, him in the Chiefs uniform as running back. So maybe that means something.
Yeah. Oh. So who did? Darrell?
Darrell. Yeah, Darrell did.
Yeah, maybe
that means something. Yeah, I mean, I say you bring him back. You never know, but I saw you also have to fill in that. You have to fill in that running back room.
Yeah. I like Darrell. I mean, I think he's done a great job for us, and really, I mean, outside of one time through his 4 years with us, he was only injured once, if I'm not mistaken. So
yeah,
workhorse.
Yeah. So he's just a beast. He's still, and man, I mean, he can out of the backfield, and you get him in that wide receiver position. You see what he can do. I mean, he was double covered in that end zone catch for that touchdown, and he ripped it out of their hands and hauled it down. So
shoot, he could be our wide receiver 1.
Yeah, definitely.
Mate base. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, that'd be funny, but he's pretty fast too. I mean, he's not a slow guy. So, Damian Williams signed somewhere.
The Falcons, yes.
The Falcons, yeah. I'm just glad to see him still playing. I think it's good to see. So, but we just, we wanted to get this show out there just to give you. We did do a little spaces earlier to give you a precursor of what was going to come on the show, and or what we were going to talk about on the show. And a lot of it was player acquisition, which Veach is still going after. There are 3 right now that I know. Well, maybe let's say 4 that I know he's pursuing. If he signs 3 of them, he's going to be done. I think he may even be done if he signs 2 of them. But I do believe he's going to pursue at least 3 more, whether it be through trade or free agency or after a cut, and then he'll be done, and then it's all going to be draft time from that point on.
Yeah, it really does seem like he's already brought in a lot of special teams players and all that. So it really does seem like he's wrapping up what he wants to do for the free agency period.
Yeah, and he's smart about it. I mean, he looks at it from all angles. If a player is being cut, it's not always about money. If a player is being traded, it's not always about money. It could be fit, it could be scheme, it could be, continuity. It could be a lot of different things that cause a team to release someone or to let them go. So we just have to look at it from that standpoint. And he does his homework. So somebody actually told me that's close to him said the guy sleeps on average about 3 hours a night, 4 hours a night. And
wow,
he just continues to work. So I'm putting all the faith in him, and I'm putting the trust in him like we always have, and I think he'll get it done just like he always does. And with this roster and this head coach, I'm not concerned about losing one player. Yeah, he was dynamic. Yeah, he was great to have. It's going to be hard not to see him we have a lot. I mean, we have a ton of his memorabilia, you know, I mean, from signed on-field helmets to framed jerseys to, we actually gave one of the jerseys away in a giveaway, but it's hard to see him go. But again, he was a big part of our team for 7 years. So we have to give him the props that he deserves. You know, I mean, it kind of is what it is. So with that being said, if you guys got nothing else, we can wrap this one up and we can start over next week. We're going to do another Spaces, by the way. When something happens, we will definitely jump on his Spaces, and maybe even if it doesn't, I know you guys like to talk to us about certain things, and we like to talk to you. So we enjoy the fact that everybody jumps on. We really appreciate it. You know, we've been gradually growing with those Spaces. You know, today I did a short precursor to the show, and there was 75 people on there in about 35 seconds. So it was kind of nice to see, and I'm glad you guys all joined, and we want you to continue to. So we will bring those Spaces to you more and more throughout the off season, and we'll do a lot of them during the season next year. But as of now, that's all we got, and we appreciate Keaton for coming on.
Appreciate you guys.
Hey, man.
Thank you, Keaton. We appreciate it.
Yeah, man. And,
no problem.
Anyway, we will talk to you again this weekend, probably on a Spaces. With that being said, if nobody's got anything else, we'll wrap this one up, and we will talk to you guys later.
All right. Sounds good.
Yeah, I think I'm good. Yep.
All right, guys. Peace out.
See you next time, too, Kingdom.